One of the first games announced for this new generation of consoles, Pragmata, as Richard would call it, Pragmata. I don't know how to say it. It was here today at Gamescom. We finally got to play it, and I'm very happy to have played it because it's actually very unique. It's very beautiful, and Richard Ledbetter is here with me. Also played it.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we saw this at the NVIDIA special gaming event, pre-Gamescom. And similar to Resident Evil Requiem, it's kind of like seemingly the start of a new relationship between NVIDIA and Capcom here, embracing higher-end features. So it's got DLSS, obviously. It's got multi-frame gen. It's actually got what looks like pretty decent ray tracing in there. So in Resident Evil Requiem, we were talking about past tracing. We don't have that here, but what we do have is a pretty decent implementation, I'd say, of ray-traced reflections and ray-traced GI, global illumination. But I think maybe, John, we should be talking about what the actual game is, because we came at this sort of not knowing anything, really, right?
That's right. The trailers have always been kind of mysterious, right? But so the demo begins, you sort of wake up in this room and there's this little girl there and you're confused, no idea what's going on. And then suddenly you're attacked. And it begins with you and your pistol trying to shoot this guy, barely doing any damage. And then the girl sort of steps in and is like, hold on, I can hack this guy. Mm-hmm. Right? So she literally jumps on your back and so this is the big mechanic, right? When aiming at an enemy now, you actually see above like sort of your ammo count or whatever, this like box that pops up. And in the middle, there's like a green thing that you need to hit, but you use the face buttons to move a box around. And it sounds weird, but it's actually very intuitive. But you're essentially connecting these little dots together to get to the correct spot on that little grid. And when you do it, you massively increase the damage that you can do by weakening the enemy through the quote-unquote hacking system. And then once you do that, basically like 2 shots and it's down. And so I was like, what the heck is this? This is really weird. But turns out there's a lot of depth and some interesting stuff here. So the demo essentially takes you through this part of the station where you're trying to get up to the top of a tower. And you can jump, you can hover with sort of a jetpack mechanic. You run around in third person and, left trigger aim, right trigger shoot. But then you have this little girl on your back, which of course they certainly used to show off the strand hair system, which was introduced in Resi 4. And she has these big billowing locks that are always moving around. And I'll be curious to see how this holds up on the consoles, but on PC with all these features enabled, it was extremely clean looking and very detailed. And so it's very clear that her hair is essentially like almost like a tech demo-y thing where it's like just moving through the world looks awesome because of the physics on her hair and the way it moves. Tress FX is back, baby, and better than ever.
Yeah, so this demo we saw running on an RTX 1590, so I'm...
Top end.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very curious to see how like the PlayStation 5 version compares, but obviously that's going to be like the baseline, so what you're seeing here is like the sort of ultimate iteration as such.
Exactly. So essentially as you're moving through this world, you're platforming, you're trying to figure out, you come to a gate that's got these like 5 locks on it. And it essentially means that you're exploring this environment to figure out how to access each of these 5 locks. And as you go around, you hack each one, but they present enemy challenges along the way, platforming challenges. There's foes in difficult to reach spots and you need to figure out how to get up there, then take them out. And then of course, you eventually start to gain these extra sort of bonuses. So in that grid that pops up, like a shield kind of thing can pop up in there, or like a different icon. And if you basically cross that while using the face buttons to navigate and then get to the sort of like execute button, you do further damage or like you gain some other ability from it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I thought this was really interesting. So it's basically a gimmick whereby it's not just aim and shoot, but it's aim and hack and shoot. And you have different weapons as well. So there's like a shotgun style weapon that's used for close-up damage. Massive damage, if I might suggest.
There was a stasis gun as well, where you essentially fire that and the enemy sort of locked in almost like a stasis where they move in super slow-mo and you can sort of take them out that way. It's this combination of enemies and these mechanics that it genuinely feels like a new, fresh idea in a way that surprised me. And of all the games I played at that event, that was the one that stuck with me the most just because it's that really satisfying sort of like action exploration style game that Capcom was so good at making, but with some really unique mechanics and enemy management sort of stuff going on. And then the boss fight was awesome, where
Yeah.
he's, you're in this giant arena, he's charging you, you're using stasis, getting around behind him, hacking him then, and then you're like firing at like his weak points and all that, like classic boss stuff. But all his tells, his attacks, just dealing with him. It was super responsive, super fun. But of course, you have all of this with this awesome atmosphere and like interesting level design. But it's backed up by, I think, the best ray tracing we've seen from RE Engine that's not the path tracing in the RE
Yeah.
Requiem demo. So, like, sci-fi environments, I think, are naturally well suited to this.
Yes, everything's quite shiny, which is great for RT reflections.
Like, there's so much reflectivity everywhere, and I think this would not work without RT reflections. Like, if this was the SSR, like they've done before, it would look terrible. Like, they have to do ray traced reflections here, and it works. It's very surprisingly clean. Not too much noise in the reflections. Like, just the overall detail levels, the quality of the metal materials, the details on the characters and creatures. It all feels very meticulous. I like this is so interesting to me though, that Capcom making this sort of completely new IP like this with such a different feel. It's not a kind of game that they've made before, and it really makes me want to kind of support it and get behind this, because it feels very special. It's beautiful. The demo is super optimized. Cutscenes are gorgeous. Really cool gameplay mechanics. All the stuff in here that just I kind of kept wanting to go. It's really really well made in that regard.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how the rest of the game plays out in terms of how the level variety changes up, that kind of thing. I think the thing that I really like about it, though, is that although it is kind of new IP, it is quite innovative. It's kind of quintessential Capcom in terms of visual presentation, just the level of polish, the quality of character rendering. It's just all
Top tier.
top tier across the board there. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking at this and thinking, well, where do they go next with this game? Because I think they've got something very, very special here in terms of gameplay mechanics, in terms of visuals. They seem to have really hit their stride with the RE engine. I guess maybe being liberated from the having to produce like PS4 versions is paying off big time for them. I can't imagine them trying that hair on anything else other than current gen.
Yeah, I just don't think it would work.
Series S going to be
Because
interesting.
if you strip out the RT, you strip out the hair rendering, it's going to break the aesthetic they're going for, right? Like, it's very specifically designed with these features in a way where it's not going to work well without them. So, and honestly, Capcom hasn't done a lot of sci-fi either. So it's really interesting to see them take on this sort of environment now. I mean, Resident Evil has plenty of sci-fi elements, let's be clear, but this is like full on, like more hard sci-fi kind of setting. The last time we saw something like this was Dino Crisis 3, which I have to admit kind of sucks, but I actually prefer. Dino Crisis 1 and 2 are great, but Dino Crisis 3 really dropped the ball. This feels like them taking another shot at this sort of like sci-fi universe, and I think it's going to be very, very successful from a design perspective. And I really hope people give it a shot, because it does kind of feel like it's not naturally getting quite the attention that something like RE Requiem would be getting, right? And that's not surprising, but
Do you think it's maybe a smaller scale game? I'm not sure because it's been in development for.
so it's hard to know how many resources they put behind this, and the production values are still like stunning.
Yeah.
Something most studios would kill for. And it has, it was initially announced many, many years ago, although it looked rather different at the time.
Yeah.
So, but maybe that stuff's in this version. I don't know. This was just a small snippet. All I can say is this went up on the top of my list as far as like games I really genuinely want to play this year. Although, do we know if it's coming out this year?
I'm not sure, but we should be seeing,
I didn't check.
hopefully seeing the console versions at actual Gamescom, because this was at the NVIDIA PC event.
Right.
I'd love to see this content actually running on a PS5.
I guess we're going to find out soon enough, but I think that's going to do it for this video, given our time constraints here. All I can say, though, is do keep an eye on this game. It's beautiful, plays great. I think it's going to be a really solid title.
Absolutely.
So that's going to do it for this video. So thanks for joining me, Rich.
No problem.
And thank you, viewer, for watching.